The king of orcs starts to the right of Antigua Shipyard in red. He's from the Netherlands, the Protoss player. He is
Grubby.
First Netherlander to ever sit in a GSL booth.
Here we have him ready for his game, and his opponent is starting to the left side. It's one of the best Zerg players in Korea. He's starting for Team MVP. It is
MVP DongRaeGu.
DRG, the final boss. Highly favored in this group. We got a lot of foreign fans here as pictured. GOMWizard, man, he keeps getting in these camera shots every time. Every time there's a camera shot suddenly, I'm seeing the GOMWizard. I'm like, he's not as invisible as he once was.
You know, he's probably more excited than Grubby right now.
Who's that?
His wife. I want to give a quick shout out to Cassandra. I'm 100% sure that she's watching these games live.
Of course.
And she's, of course, cheering for Grubby here. Guys, give Cassandra and also Grubby a shout out. Grubby is at follow Grubby on Twitter. Cassandra is at follow Cassandra on Twitter. Of course, we also have the Zerg player in this game with his own Twitter account. DRG, a huge fan favorite, especially amongst the Koreans. His Twitter ID is at MVP DongRaeGu.
Yeah. And speaking of Twitters, there is a video I tweeted actually. If you guys don't know who Grubby is, which if you don't, you absolutely have to do your homework right now and we'll go watch this video I tweeted earlier. My Twitter is Proxwell. If you follow Caldor as well at Caldor, go and look at that video I posted. It's actually a really nice highlight video of Grubby that just came out a few days ago, maybe even yesterday.
We have the Overlord moving in. Grubby is now revealed as starting with a Forge first and going into a Nexus, and DongRaeGu, of course, opening things up quite standard here. And Grubby, the strategies that we kind of went through when we were talking about it, we looked a little bit at Heroes plays, trying to find a bit of inspiration. We were talking about going for a 2-base timing. He practiced a lot with Golden at first, was one of the Zerg players that he spent a lot of time practicing with. Golden just joining Startail. And then later when he moved on to FXO, Sirius, Whale, and also Lucky were opponents that he had to deal with. I actually feel like Lucky is a really, really good opponent if you practice.
Yeah.
Because the problem that Lucky has when he's playing in the booth is that he's just very, very nervous. The nerves really get the better of him. So my personal opinion is that Lucky in his home environment at the team house is a lot stronger than when he is in an environment where he's pressured.
I'm with you on that.
So Grubby had a lot of good players that he could prepare with. And the idea was, what am I going to do against the DRG? Am I going for a 2-base timing? Do I kind of acknowledge that my opponent probably has the better mechanics and a very good game sense and try to just roll the dice? And we tried different strategies, the 2-base Stargate opening being one of them. Grubby tried different attacks, also Immortal Pushers, but he said, well, I don't really feel it. I don't really feel the strategy, and he told me something that I found very, very interesting and that I 100% agree with. He said, I'd rather play a strategy that is worse, but that I feel confident in, than playing the better strategy, but not really feeling it and then not being like 100% behind it.
That's wise words, actually. That's a good quote, because that's really important. You know, when you try to do a strategy that you're not as comfortable with, even if it's a great map for the strategy or everyone's telling you it's the best strategy, if you don't like Immortal Pushing, you're just not going to, for example. One thing I really want to note about Grubby's opening that's a little bit different than some Protoss players so far here is that he actually does something that many Zerg players, or rather many Protoss players are not doing these days, is he actually walls at the ramp. That's pretty rare to see a Protoss player do these days. Usually people are doing that wall with the Nexus on Antigua, but we've seen Zerg players punish the Assimilator, and so Grubby, I think, reacts to that a little bit, responds to that, goes for the old school wall. He's making a robotics right now on the high ground in his main base, so we'll see what he's got planned. Could be a timing attack, but to me, if I know Grubby, I expect a Warp Prism.
He's going for the Warp Prism, exactly. He will go and try to pressure a little bit with Warp Prism, Stalker and 2 sentries, trying to kill a few drones, maybe even trap a Queen. That's the original idea that he has. He's not really set exactly in what he's going to do in the late game if he comes to this. He's gonna approach the early game with a certain strategy that he felt, or a certain opening that he liked. But then later on he has a couple of variations that he's going for. And you can see the gateways here already. The Warp Prism is building, so Grubby just trying to pressure the DRG. The idea here is not to take down the 3rd base, but just to cripple the Zerg a little bit with his economy, make sure that you take down a few drones, that you maybe even kill a couple of Queens, and then transition into a 3rd base.
DRG is desperately trying to find out if there is a robotics, and I think he will actually see if he does. And the thing is, Grubby could.
You know
show
what
him the
Grubby
Warp
just
Prism.
did? He just I'm pretty sure that he just cancelled the Warp Prison and started again and Chrono Boosted it because he didn't want the Overlord to see it. Look at I didn't see it like on tap, but he started the Warp Prism earlier, and then when I just looked at it, it just restarted again. So I feel he saw the Overlord coming in, he sent the sentry over there, and he was like, I cannot stop him from seeing the Robo, but I can stop him from seeing my Warp Prism, and to me it currently doesn't really matter if the Warp Prism is out 5 seconds later or not. So he cancels it, starts this again, Chrono Boosts it, so that it is out in time, and there we go. Preparing already for the next stage with his Twilight Council, so that he can get Blink up, that he can get the +2 attack upgrade to go into his third base, and now warping in while he's moving out the first few units, so exactly what he planned to do. But DRG on the other hand, on 3 bases now, great economy, double upgrades for his Zerglings, and he goes straight into the Infestors.
He's going into Infestors, which makes me feel he knows what Grubby's doing even without seeing it, because you know, going into Infestors this early against your standard Immortal push could be really scary. He's got the Lings out to stop it if that's the case. The problem for him, though, of course, is with the Lings at the front. That's one thing that's great for slowing down Immortal pushes, and the Infestors are great against this type of play, but, you know, you gotta have something at home, and right now he does not. He's going to lose several drones here to the Stalker drop. This is not a Sentry drop, but a Stalker drop, and this is the scarier one. This one is the one that does direct damage if there's nothing there. The Sentries are more of kind of a trickier unit that have a lot of different other things they can do. But
really well done.
8 workers killed in total.
8 Harvesters killed already, pressure DongRaeGu a bit, and at the same time preparing for his expansion, getting those Immortals out so that he can deal with Roaches later on. Roaches not part of DRG's composition at this point. He's relying on his Zerglings, he's relying on double upgrades and the Infestors, getting another macro hedge now because he's playing a very lava-heavy style. Grubby halfway done with +2, getting those gateways up and ready to take his third base, but the Lings are already on the way.
Grubby has also taken his gateways not at his third base location, but in his main, so he could actually follow up with the Immortal push, making the third Immortal. He could actually go with Blink Stalkers +2 and Immortals off of 2 base to try to shake Grubby up, you know, trick him a little bit. The problem, though, are those Infestors you mentioned. Now he starts to move over to his third base. He's just not going to use his gateways as a wall.
Yeah. He's gonna use exactly what he has planned, and so far his strategy did work quite well. He pressured DongRaeGu a bit, was able to take down Harvesters. Even here the Creep Spread not ready just yet. And once more, the Warp Prism in the main base doing a bit of damage, just annoying DRG. The Zerg player has his Infestors out on the other hand, and a good Creep Spread towards the middle of the map at this point.
I like DRG's position here, but it's going to be up to him to decide what the next move is, because right now he could try to take a 4th base because he knows Grubby's poised to take his 3rd, or he could try to attack with that Infestor push, but on this map in particular, especially since he hasn't even touched the rocks yet, I just don't think that's going to work out. I'd rather see him take the 4th, and that's exactly what he does. He takes the 4th base here.
The Warp Prism goes into the main again, picking off Overlords here, at least trying to. Another one dead.
Not a single Stalker lost. Grubby has only lost a Zealot in total this entire game.
And DongRaeGu starts immediately his 2-2 now. We have him with a 4th base in the middle of the map right now, whereas Grubby with his Robotics Bay nearly completed. Spire coming up for DongRaeGu.
Yeah. And Roach Warren goes down for DRG as well, just to make sure he has those Roaches out. He is going for this push, and I don't know how much this is really going to work out. Grubby has some of the best micro in the world. He's also got a great position
Grubby
here.
has +2. +2 for the Zerg, for the Zealots.
And another Immortal's about to come out and join his force here. This is actually be very difficult for DongRaeGu to make work. I think he's just going to pressure and back off. I don't think he's actually going to commit to the attack.
I don't think so either. At this point, that's just too much. Grubby is a bit tempted to blink forward, at least behind the force fields, and maybe try to get on one of these Infestors, but he decides to stay put because he knows this is very risky for him. Here comes the bundle.
He misses his force fields and the Lings get in.
The Zerglings come in. Here come those Infestor Terrans. Grubby moving back a little bit into this pocket, dropping additional units. The rest of the Lings now on the high ground. The Infestors nearly out of energy. The Stalkers trapped behind the Immortals, but blinking forward, trying to take them out. DongRaeGu moving back.
Excellent control by both players. DRG pushes him into the corner, but the impulse fetches back in the last second, but Grubby at the same hand saves most of his units. The problem is he's starting to lose some probes at his third base, and DRG has a 4th up. He's about to have 2-2. Grubby needs to do something, some sort of counter pressure after this attack. He's tried to use his Warp Prism during the attack and actually lost all of his Stalkers as well.
Grubby tried to move back from the Infested Terrans, lost an Immortal and a few Stalkers to them regardless, and now he was able to fend the attack off, but DongRaeGu is still in a good position. He's about to complete +2/+2. The first Roaches are on the production tab. We have the speed for them also being researched, whereas Grubby is now going into Colossi into range, into +3. And these upgrades that he had in the last game, in the last fight, definitely helped him quite a bit against DRG's force.
Yeah. Colossi range is coming out here. +3 is the most important upgrade that Grubby really has for holding this next pressure.
Warp Prism is ready again, just moved into position at the main base, but not being used for warp in yet. We have +3 nearly completed for Grubby, which would give him a bit of an edge in the next fight, but +2 is actually done for DongRaeGu.
Yeah. And he's got +1 coming out for his roaches now. Of course, more importantly, potentially his infested terrors, depending on how he wants to go forward with composition-wise. +1 for his corruptors, and later on the broodlords is coming out here too. And Grubby's warp prism period is over. There's nothing more he can do with it. He can come in the late game.
He just scouted if there's a hive tech, and was really that was a good choice. Just moving in, having a quick look. Are you going for hive, or are you still on lair?
And this is a good feeling for him because now he knows he's adding the gates to do it too, potentially. He knows, okay, maybe I can hit a timing actually before your broodlords are ready on 3 base on this map. That's a good choice.
That's definitely the idea that he was going for, trying to hit a pre-broodlord timing, but now he has to deal with this aggression by the Zerg player. DongRaeGu is trying to get into a position. He has a lot of infestors. He also has the first corruptors out that he could deal with the Colossi.
He just wants to trade here and keep Grubby's army down. He wants to take out as many Colossi as he can if it's possible. Grubby has his Colossi in a perfect position in between the 3rd base and the 2nd base where they cannot be surrounded at all and they're protected by the Zealots. This is actually a great concave Grubby has set up here.
And he just completed his upgrade for the Colossi. Extended Thermal Lance is ready. Here comes DRG. He's moving in. The Infestors are getting into position. The volleyballs are everywhere. Infested Terrans. The same time the Corruptors taking out Colossus #1, Colossus #2, and the 3rd one is also getting attacked. Archons moving in, closing the distance to the roaches.
Great trade for DRG if he saves his Infestors, and he does. This is actually potentially game for Grubby because even though he's not going to die here, he just lost too many units and he's not going to be able to replenish those as fast as DRG can. He's making 62 links, his hive tech is done.
Grubby has a good bank though. He can use the next round of warp-ins if he chrono boosts his gateways, and that's what he's trying to do. He's moving down with the rest of his units. Warp in another set, still has 1 Archon. The Infestors have been saved by DongRaeGu. The Zerg play with a good choice here, not overcommitting with them, but suddenly Roaches at the top right. He was sneaking them in, and they are taking down Harvesters. Grubby reacts with pulling the probes.
Yeah, he pulls the probes. He doesn't lose very many, but DRG already targeted the Nexus earlier. It's low on hit points, and he's going to go finish it off. If he targets, he actually decides to grab these Immortals instead. Summonings target the Nexus. Great multitasking by DRG, but barely goes down.
The Nexus dies barely, but now suddenly the Infestors, he can get them
go down. He's going to blink on him and kill all of them. Every single last one goes down. This is great for Grubby. This is the one advantage he gets at this fight.
Wow. Was it worth it for DRG? He kills the Nexus, but he loses so many Infestors and Roaches.
And his Broodlords are not ready yet, but he does still have 4 Infestors on the map. He needs to hold that Watchtower, but Grubby's not going to let him. Grubby's going onto the high ground. He's going to start taking out these drones.
Look at DRG though, getting +3/+3. And he has also Bono in his way. He still has 4 bases, and Grubby is only mining from 2. The Protoss player is in a bit of trouble, but he's still at 150 supply. His bank is gone. But if you look at the resources lost, they are still very, very even. Grubby even playing, Grubby playing more cost efficient than DRG, what you would expect against the Zerg player. But I'm really scared for the Protoss as soon as those upgrades for the DongRaeGu hit.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the spending tab, the total resources spent for Grubby is much, much less than DongRaeGu, just simply because he has more money. And this could be the ending fight. DRG surrounds these units with his lings. There's a lot of Zealots here. The Corruptors actually corrupt every single Stalker. That's how many extra Corruptors he has. And Grubby is out of luck here in his first game.
Just going in, and now you can see that the supply is already doubled by DongRaeGu. Grubby retreating, trying to save it somehow, but the Immortal is down. The Colossus on the high ground, landing its damage, but it's too late. Here come the Broodlords, and at this point, Grubby does not really have an answer.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, Grubby's opening was pretty creative. It was pretty strong. It did a lot of damage. But Grubby made the choice to take a 3rd base on this map, and DongRaeGu has practiced against that so many times, he seemed to be ready to punish it. He just held the center of the map, took that 4th base, put light pressure on, but enough to keep Grubby on the back foot. And now that these Broodlords are out, they're basically, I mean, right now he's going up to 8 and 9, and that's the 8th and 9th nails in Grubby's coffin because he's down 80 supply here, and there's no way he's going to be able to hold the next wave of DRG's attack.
20 minutes into the game, the army for DongRaeGu just looks unbeatable. He's a bit low on the Infestor count, has only 3 of them, but 9 Broodlords, the Queens, 5 of them not taking part in the next battle. And Grubby tries to be a bit sneaky here, maybe sending a few of those zealots into one of the mineral lines. He actually has another target with the hatch that is currently being built at the bottom right. He doesn't know about it, but the big issue is now the Zerg player moving in for the final battle. And those Broodlords, they are just uncontested. Grubby can't even blink both of the Stalkers. They are gonna evaporate. All of them are gone. Grubby trying to save it somehow, but at this point, there's not a lot that he can do.
GG. And DongRaeGu, the final boss, the favorite for the group, takes game number 1. In relatively straightforward fashion. He had to deal with a lot of Grubby's pressure early on, but his mid to late game was solid. Grubby didn't give him too much trouble. He was able to take that third base down and just play the normal late game that you would see a pros player normally struggle with on Antigua.
Grubby with a solid strategy here, but DongRaeGu just a very stable player on a very high skill level, and he was the favorite. Let's be honest about that for a second. Nice effort here though by the player from the Netherlands. Well played, but DongRaeGu, he takes the game and now is also on 1-0 in the group. Takes the first one. So well played by DRG, and we are jumping into a short break, and then we have the next set of matches here. But so far I have to say the first 3 games that we saw today in the group very entertaining, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next round.
Yeah, me too, man. And we are in part 1 of 5. It's like better than a trilogy. It's a quintilogy. I don't know. I was hoping you were going to save me. I was just looking at you.
No. When it comes down to numbers, I really like to see you squirm.
It's a 5-part series, and that we are done with part number 1. We're going to take another 5-minute break, so get some popcorn, get some soda, get a calculator, and we'll see you when we get back.